Hello friends, welcome back to next session, and in this session we are going to study about megasporogenesis, the process of formation of megaspores, right? And at the end of this session each student is supposed to be learning these objectives. 1. Define megasporogenesis and other technical words. Understand the process of formation and development of megaspore, particularly functional megaspore, and reflect on the structure of embryo sac having 7-celled 8-nucleate structure with the significance of each cell. So let's go. Now, the process of formation of megaspores from the megaspore mother cell is called megasporogenesis. Ovules generally differentiate a single megaspore mother cell in the micropylar region of the nucellus. As you are able to see in this diagram, megasporangium is a structure, and in this structure having lot of megaspore mother cells make each MMC to undergo meiosis, and this structure is covered by integuments. The megaspore mother cell having diploid in structure, having 2 sets of chromosome, undergoes meiotic division. The majority of flowering plants, one of the megaspores is functional, as I said just now, and the 3 will degenerate. So to begin with, 4 cells will be formed, 3 gets degenerated, and the remaining left out one will become functional megaspore. The functional megaspore develops into female gametophyte. In this, the cells of nucellus is diploid, MMC is diploid, functional megaspore whereas is haploid. So since functional megaspore is going to develop into female gametophyte, naturally the female gametophyte also would be haploid. So as you are seeing in these pictures, so centrally you got one megaspore mother cell, and the megaspore mother cell is dividing, forming 2 cells, megaspore dyad, and the nucellus is surrounding it, which provides nutrition to the growing megaspore mother cells. And all this is happening at the micropylar end, and the 2 megaspore dyad further divides and forms megaspore tetrad. So out of the megaspore tetrad means 4 cells. Out of the 4, 3 will degenerate, 1 becomes functional MMC. The nucleus of the functional megaspore divides mitotically to form 2 nuclei. Now look at the diagram. The functional megaspore, which is formed out of the megaspore mother cell, divides now mitotically. To begin with, the nuclei gets divided mitotically and form 2, and these 2 further will divide into 4, and 4 will become 8. So the megaspore now has got 8 nuclei, as you are seeing in the picture. One nucleus from each pole comes to center of embryo sac. So there is a movement of nucleus. They fuse together to form secondary nucleus, as you are able to see in the center in this diagram. And the 3 nuclei at the chalagal end forms antipodals. Look at the chalagal end. There are 3 cells, 1, 2, 3, and these 3 are called antipodals. And the other 3 you are able to see at micropylar end. These are 3 cells. Out of the 3, 2 are called synergids, 1 is called egg, functional egg. And also at the synergids you can see a special structure called filiform apparatus that helps in movement of male nucleus. So the embryo sac further, as you are able to see, will be having totally 8 nuclei. Look at that. At chalagal end 3, at micropylar end 3, 3 plus 3, 6, and centrally 2 polar nuclei. So totally 8 nucleate, and the central two polar nuclei fuse together to form a central cell or polar cell. So in terms of number of cells, it is 3 plus 1 plus 3. So 7 celled. So and in angiosperms, the embryo sac will be having 8 nuclei and 7 cells. Hence it is called 8 nucleate 7 celled structure, as you are seeing in this picture clearly. Now, a process called pollination that helps the pollen grains to travel to stigma and then fall on the stigma with the help of some chemicals that are secreted in the stigma. The pollen grains stuck to it and travel through pistil. And this process of pollen grain reaching the functional ovum is called pollination. So transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called pollination. Now, the types. First one is autogamy. So in autogamy, transfer of pollen grains from the anther to stigma of the same flower. Auto means self. Gamy means fusion. In the same flower, fusion takes place. So autogamy. In this flower, anthers and stigma lie close to each other so that self-pollination can occur. In chasmogamous flowers and cleistogamous flower, what are these? Remember cleisto, C-L-E spelling, means closed, and the spelling of the word closed also C-L-O. So C-L-C-L. Cleistogamous flower is a flower that closes, where a chasmogamous flower is a flower that opens. So some plants produce both the types of flowers, like viola, oxalis, camelina. Flowers with exposed anthers and stigma are called, as I said, chasmogamous flower. Flowers which do not open at all are called cleistogamous flowers. So naturally, in cleistogamous flowers, autogamy takes place. Chasmogamous flowers as well as cleistogamous flowers we can see in this plant, both are present in the same plant. And geitonogamy, transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of different flower, but the plant is same. Then we call it geitonogamy. Genetically, it is similar to autogamy because the pollen grains come from the same plant. Xenogamy, here, transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of different plants, but again, species should be same. So, for all these transfers of pollen grains from one plant to another plant, from one flower to another flower, or within the same flower, the pollen grains require some agents to move, and we call these as pollinating agents. Plants use both abiotic as well as biotic agents to achieve pollination. In case of abiotic, predominantly it is wind and water, and in biotic, animals, birds, insects, including human beings. Majority of the plants use biotic agents for pollination, as all of us know. Only a small portion of plants use abiotic agents, particularly hydrophytes. Now, anemophily. The pollination occurred by the effect of wind as an agent. If pollen grains are transferred with the help of wind and reach the stigma, then we say anemophily. Hydrophily, as the name suggests, hydrous, water. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma takes place with the help of water current, and this is called hydrophily. As you are able to see in the picture, most of the hydrophytes will undergo this. Zoophily, pollination occurs with the effect of animals as an agent, then it is zoophily. On the basis of different types of animals involved in it, zoophily is classified into further entomophily. The pollination occurred by the effect of insects as an agent, and it is entomophily. Ornithophily, phily means love, okay? Ornithology, okay? The pollination occurs with the effect of birds, by the effect of birds as an agent. So birds will transfer pollen grains from one flower to another flower. Then we call it ornithophily. Chiropterophily. The pollination here takes place with the help of bats. So remember for your UPSC exam and other exams, Chiropterophily. The agent here is bats, and bats will help in transferring pollen grains from anther to stigma. Next, anemophily is the pollination of wind. Small flowers will get carried and the pollination takes place through anemophily. These plants produce enormous amount of pollen, crores of pollen grains. Example, grasses, rice, bamboo, sugarcane. The anemophilous flowers are small and never colored. They are odorless, no smell, and never produce nectar. Pollen grains are very small, dry, and light, so only they can get carried away with the wind. Stigma are hairy and branched to trap pollen grains floating in the air. Hydrophily is the pollination by water. As I said earlier, aquatic plants undergo hydrophily. When the pollination occurs below the water level, it is called hypohydrogamic. It's seen in plants like Chiropterophillium, Hydrilla. When the pollination occurs at the water level, it is called epihydrogamic. It's seen in plants like Vallisneria. These are all aquatic plants. In other aquatic plants like water hyacinth, Icordea, water lily, flower emerges out of water and pollination occurs by wind or insects, as you are seeing in the pictures. In Vallisneria, the submerged aquatic plant, the male flowers open at the water surface. The released pollen grains float on water current. The pedicel of the female flower elongates till it reaches the surface of the water to contact with pollen grains, as you are seeing in the picture. Zoophily is the pollination by animals like insects, bees, wasps, birds, bats, etc. Majority of plants are pollinated by insects. The entomophilous flowers have some characteristic feature. The flowers are fragrant, then only they can attract the animals, and they emit odor, nice smell. Jasmine, rose. The flowers are colorful to attract insects like rose, jasmine again. The nectar gland produces nectar to feed visiting insects, then only the insects get attracted. The pollen grains are sticky and spiny, then only they get attached to the body of the insects. It helps to attach the body of visiting insects. To catch pollen grains, the stigma becomes sticky. And then there's an interesting one, some sort of symbiosis. Yucca plant is pollinated by an insect called moth. The moth and yucca cannot complete their life cycle without each other, a sort of symbiosis. The moth bores a hole in ovary to lay its eggs, then it collects pollen grains from several flowers and pushes in the hollow end of stigma. After fertilization, the seed development, the larvae of the moth feed on developing seeds. The unconsumed seeds disperse to propagation. Thus, moth cannot survive without eka. Eka cannot reproduce sexually without moth. See the interesting things that nature makes the organisms to undergo. That's how we appreciate the nature. I'll see you in the next session.